My name is Kurt Heise, and I'm a candidate for Plymouth Township Supervisor. Yes, I am. And I am running as a write-in candidate. We'll talk more about that later. But for right now, I'd like to talk about why this race is so important and my qualifications for this office. I'm a 10-year resident of Plymouth Township. My family and I moved here for, number one, really for better schools, low taxes, and a better quality of life. And I want to preserve what's best about our township and prepare us for the challenges that lie ahead. You know, this election is ultimately about you hiring a new CEO, a CEO of a $14 million a year public corporation called Plymouth Township. That's what it is. So what you want to look for in that CEO is someone who has the education, the experience, and the commitment to improve Plymouth Township, to make us a better place, to build on our successes, to attack the challenges that lie ahead. I'm 50 years old. I just turned 50 this year. I haven't gotten my AARP card yet. I'm still waiting for that. I'll get it after tonight, you watch. And during that time, I've been a lawyer for 25 of those 50 years. Now, we all say that lawyers, we can all say how we like them or we don't like them, but throughout my attorney career, I have always been in the public sector. I started out as a school district attorney for Plymouth Canton, and then went on to be the assistant city attorney in the city of Dearborn Heights and the city of Woodhaven. I then became the mayor's deputy in Dearborn Heights and lived in that community for 10 years. During that time in Dearborn Heights, I learned an awful lot about the environment and environmental protection and water quality issues. And I was tapped by CEO Robert Ficano to serve as the director of the Wayne County Department of Environment in 2003, where I served for 6.5 years. Now, as you know, Wayne County government is pretty rough and tumble. And towards the end of 2009, they no longer required my services because they blew up my department and they transferred my money elsewhere, because I was the only department in Wayne County that actually had a budget surplus. So I went back into private practice for a while. I also taught at Wayne State, Eastern Michigan University, and U of M Dearborn. I taught a course called Environmental Politics and Policy of Southeast Michigan. In late 2009, I was approached by State Representative John Walsh from Livonia, who suggested that I run for state representative. And that was something that I had been thinking about, and I guess I needed that extra push just to make that happen. So I ran for state rep in 2010 and have served as your state representative. I will be term limited at the end of this year. Now, I've heard some say that Heise's only doing this because he needs a job. Well, I'm not doing this because I need a job. I can find many jobs after I'm out of office at the end of the year. In fact, I've already turned down a couple opportunities. I'm running for Plymouth Township Supervisor because I think Plymouth Township is on the wrong track. I think we're in trouble. I think we're ignoring our long-term financial obligations. I don't think we're putting public safety, police and fire above the people. We're more interested in donut days and fireworks and amphitheaters and massive parking lots than we are about putting people first and putting public safety first. So what I want to do is put my experience, my education as an attorney, my education as a labor lawyer, an environmental attorney, and as an administrator to work for the people of Plymouth Township. With your support and with your write-in, writing my name in, and filling in the oval on August 2nd, we can show the professional politicians and the outsiders who's boss that we can take back Plymouth Township. I've knocked on thousands of doors throughout our community, not just this year, but in many years past. And you know, the big question that I get is, what's your plan? What's your agenda for our community? I think the number one thing we have to do is change the culture of Township Hall. You have to change the culture, the us versus them mentality. The fact that you as taxpayers are treated more as an annoyance than as the people who pay the bills. Customer service out the window. Respect for our fellow employees, especially police and fire, doesn't exist. I've met with the men and women who are head up the unions in our police and fire departments. They're afraid. They go to work in fear of the leadership of this township. That is ridiculous. And that is a reflection of the culture that we have to change at Township Hall. We can do it with the right team assembled in November. I think we now have to look, once we change the culture, we have to look at improving police and fire services. Our fire services are inadequate. They were cut to the bone. They were cut too far many years ago. I don't believe that there was a business model for doing that. I think it was done out of spite by certain members of the township board who wanted to get even with the firemen, to abuse the power that they were given, to use that power maliciously to hurt others. That's a theme you're going to hear more from me later. And what we need to do is make sure that we have the best equipment in our fire department and make sure that our police officers have the equipment and the staffing that they need to keep us safe. Next, we need to look at rebuilding our relationship with the city of Plymouth. We have two communities that should be like the United States and Canada. Instead, we have become the United States and the Soviet Union back in the Cold War. There is a very poor relationship between our communities. If you talk to the leadership in the Plymouth City Council, they will tell you. They won't say it publicly because, in many cases, they're afraid. They're afraid of retaliation by this township board. Moving on from there, we need to look at joint recreation with Plymouth City. I'm not saying that we make money, that we give money to park, or that we start an authority or anything like that, but for heaven's sakes, let's start talking. Let's rescind the gag order that the township board has imposed and that Mr. Price will not do anything about, a gag order that forbids the township from talking to the city about joint recreation. That's ridiculous, and it's an abuse of power. Then, let's start talking about improved our senior services, transportation opportunities, and roads. And let's start working together on joint recreation that is more than just repaving a park and putting up a pavilion that nobody wants, but looking at jogging paths, looking at the golf course, and doing a financial audit of that golf course so that we can move forward, either keeping that in business or maybe looking at something else. I'm going to do something that political experts would probably tell me not to do, and that is to apologize. To apologize to all of you for the mistake that I made in filling out my affidavit of identity, which is a form that is necessary to serve as a candidate for public office. I didn't put down my precinct number. That was it. It's a mistake that I own up to because that's what leaders do. They own up to their mistakes and they try to correct them. And this was certainly a correctable mistake. It's a mistake, though, that was either missed by our township clerk, either deliberately or negligently, and it was passed on to the Wayne County Board of Election Commissioners, who put me on the ballot. Maybe our clerk didn't catch the error, but apparently Mr. Berry did. And a lawsuit was filed, which I had to defend myself in court. It went to the Court of Appeals, and I lost. I also lost close to $20,000 of my own money trying to defend myself. The absurdity of all of this is that correcting the ballot was an easy ministerial fix. It's a phone call to me to say, hey, Kurt, you missed something here. Why don't you come down and fix it? That's how you remedy the problem. You don't sue people to take them off the ballot. You don't sue people to deny you the right to choose, to deny democracy in our community, and to rig another election, another fix, so that their guy can run unopposed. Well, we're not going to let that happen. I have filed today, or yesterday, as a write-in candidate, and I will be a candidate on the August 2nd Republican primary ballot for supervisor. So when you go to vote, you're going to see the other guy's name. You write my name underneath, and you have to fill in the oval. Very important that you do that, or the machines will not see it. Together, we can make history, just like Mike Duggan did in Detroit. If he did it in Detroit in the span of 4 weeks and mounted a successful write-in campaign, we can do it in 7 weeks in Plymouth Township, because you deserve the best leadership, you deserve the best candidates, and you deserve the right to vote. And that vote should not be taken away by outside lawyers and political consultants using dark money corporate PACs with untraceable money to help fund attorneys to take regular people like me to court over an innocent mistake. Your vote matters, and you should stand up for democracy, stand up for your right to vote, and write in my name, Kurt Heise, for Supervisor on August 2nd. Thank you.